Aloha my kako and welcome back to another book review. I am Mama Kitty and today we are going to be reviewing Emily Campbell's Bitter Brews and Secret Pages. This was initially an arc that was sent to me, but I fell a little bit behind and so it has already been published, but because it was given to me, I am going to review it as if I were reviewing an arc because that's just how the deal works. The Goodreads synopsis is as follows. After escaping an abusive relationship, Harper Green is determined to rebuild her life. Seeking refuge in the small coastal town of Bayshore, South Carolina, she takes a job at Harbor Craft Brewing and Books, a charming bookstore brewery hybrid owned by the brooding and distant Nolan Hayes. But as Harper tries to create a new life for herself, the ghosts of her past refuse to let go. Harper's new start comes with challenges. Nolan's cold exterior masks a growing curiosity about the woman he's hired, one he can't seem to figure out. Their chemistry is undeniable, but Harper is desperate to keep her secrets buried. She's been running from the scars left by Cole Remington, her dangerous ex who believed he owned her. But in a town this small, keeping the past hidden is easier said than done. Trusting Nolan with her past might be the only way forward, but the truth could shatter the fragile bond they've begun to form. And as her secrets come dangerously close to being exposed, Harper must decide, can she really escape her past, or is it already too late? In this romantic suspense novel of love, survival, and second chances, Bitter Brews and Secret Pages weaves together the tension of a haunting past with the promise of a new beginning. Will Harper find the strength to reclaim her life, or will the darkness she fled come back to claim her once again? Okay, so I'm gonna start by saying that I didn't really know what I was getting into when I started reading this book. I did not read the synopsis beforehand. And there are 100% triggers in the beginning of this book, but I started it several months, not even several months, a while before I finally was able to read it. And then when I finally got back to reading it, I forgot that there were trigger warnings, and so I just went right into it, and whoo boy, don't do that. So to help hopefully prevent that from happening to you, I am going to read you the trigger warning right here. This story explores sensitive topics and includes on-page sexual content, themes of domestic abuse, both emotional and sexual, stalking and its physical impacts, gun violence, representation of anxiety, and panic attacks. So just keep that all in mind. Okay, so really getting into this, we have Harper and we have Nolan, our main characters. They were very sweet. I loved them a lot. They were very awkward, which was adorable. Harper is very bubbly, and tries to sort of be the positiveness in the room, but she is kind of throughout the entirety of the story very traumatized, which, like, fair considering her situation. Like, I would also be severely traumatized if I had an ex who was abusive and stalking me. So I totally understood why she was the way that she was literarily, but I was a little frustrated with her from the point of view of her coming to this new town, making these friends, and then not preparing these friends for what might be coming after her. But I also can't get mad at her for it, or even really fault her for it, just from the point of view of she was concerned for their safety, which I totally understand. And then it's also this coping mechanism of, if I don't think about it, talk about it, or tell anybody, it'll go away. And I totally relate to that feeling, but it still was frustrating. But even with that, right, she was really sweet and very cute and very hardworking, etc., etc., etc. And I liked her character a lot. Nolan, on the other hand, was very serious, kind of like to start. He softens up a lot later as he and Harper get closer. But I didn't really remember him being that much of a hard ass in Brewing Up Christmas. But I also, he wasn't really in it all that much, right? Because it was Eli's story. But I also got really distracted by, like, where Brewing Up Christmas takes place within Bitter Brews and Secret Pages chronologically. I want to say it happens after, right? Because Eli, the protagonist for Brewing Up Christmas, really like flirted with Harper pretty, like, seemingly pretty seriously, at least for like the beginning. And Eli and Nolan even had this kind of like moment over Harper that I was kind of like, well, but I thought he was with what's her face. Why is he flirting with the new girl in town? But that is what led me to believe that Brewing Up Christmas happens later. This is 100% a non-issue. This is a me issue, and I totally acknowledge that, but I got very distracted by the chronologicalness of these two stories, as they were. Putting all that aside, though, once Nolan and Harper got together, he softened up a little bit, but he was so sweet and protective and a little possessive, which, because it was this romance world, was totally hot. So 10 out of 10. He also kind of gave off these like alpha male vibes a little bit, but like not in a bad way. Just from the point of view of like, if this were a romance werewolf novel, he would have fit right in, is kind of more what I mean by that. So then there's our BBEG. Cole was terrifying. We didn't really get to see too much from his point of view, but there were a couple of moments. Bless you, bless you. There were a couple of moments where we were inside his head, and it was the things that he thought were just awful. And I thought that Campbell wrote him really well, more from the point of view of, it was almost scarier, like the threat of his presence was almost scarier than him actually being there. But then when he was there and he went off the fucking deep end, it was scary, it was terrifying. I was really worried for the people around Harper for like a hot second when he finally sort of reappeared. And then the fact that there are people like him IRL is also terrifying and kind of gives me the heebie-jeebies. And he just gave me the most horrendous ick, which I think was a good thing, because yeah, that's his. Yeah, the story and the pacing was good. Considering how highly intense this whole story was, even the slower bits had this like layer of dread that really kept the story moving. The constant paranoia that was just like living within Harper's skin also kept the story beating at this really steady rhythm that became difficult to put down. Something else that Campbell did that I kind of liked, and I hadn't really seen much before, was her POVs. So it's pretty common in romance novels for the author to switch POVs every chapter or so. Boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, blah, 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 blah. But in Campbell's story, what she did was she was like, Harper, 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 Nolan, Harper, Harper, Nolan, Harper, 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 Nolan, Harper, 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 Cole, Harper, 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 Nolan, Nolan, Harper, 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 Harper. Does that make sense? And so it was, I really enjoyed it. And I think that's part of why the pacing went well, right? Is because she only changed character when like Harper ran out of interesting things to do, and so then Nolan had a moment, and then we were able to do a little bit of a skip, and so now we're back at Harper's point of view. And again, I had never really seen that before, and so I really liked that, taking advantage of those POV switches instead of formulaically doing it, and it's a trick I will 100% be borrowing. Overall, I really enjoyed this book and would give it a very solid 4 out of 5 stars. It was beautiful and intense and loving and terrifying, and I had a hard time putting it down once I really got into it. One of the things I do want to mention that is a little bit of a spoiler, but I think that there are a lot of people who don't like this trope, but Harper does end up pregnant at the end of the book. It's happy pregnant, like she's very ecstatic about it, but she does end up pregnant. So for those of you who aren't fans of romance stories ending that way, there you go. The next book that we're going to be reviewing is called For the Record by Emma Lord. This is another arc that was given to me from NetGalley, and so I'm very excited to share it with you. I don't know anything about it yet, aside from the fact that it's a romance and that it features musicians, and that's about all I needed to know to get into it. So make sure that you subscribe and turn the notifications on so that when that video drops, you will be one of the first to know. Follow me on my socials if you want to see some of the other content that I make. Otherwise, I will see you on the next one. Bye!